Hi guys, my name's Becky and welcome back. It's a bit late. It's just been a bit crazy. I've got an assignment due next week, so I've been trying to focus my time on that. But we're gonna go ahead and go through all the books that I read in February. So I actually read 7 books in February, and the first one that I read was Glasgow Boys by Margaret MacDonald. I absolutely adored this book. I've been wanting a book that just scratched an itch for the longest time. I gave this book 4 stars. So it was set in Glasgow and it's a dual perspective between 2 boys who were both in the care system, and they both knew each other. So like throughout the novel we're told about how they know each other and about what they're going, because one of them wants to be a nurse, and it was just nice to have a perspective of like 2 boy characters, because we don't very often see that. And I don't know, I just really loved it, so I gave 4 stars. It was fresh and exciting and just something I think I needed. So then the next book I read was Case Closed, volume 92, which I gave 4 stars. Okay, this is pretty typical for me. I really love Case Closed. Can't go wrong with it. I really liked this volume. I really liked the cases, and I'm already caught up with the manga. It was just nice to revisit a few cases, and yeah, it was just a fun time overall. Then the next book that I read was A Language of Dragons by S.F. Williamson. And yeah, the main character was a bit unbearable in this. So this book is, I suppose, what you would class as romantasy. There's not a lot of world building or explanation as to how the world works. We kind of just accept it. So this world has dragons in it, and there was a war between dragons and humans until like the dragons signed this treaty, and this girl wants to go to study dragon languages, and there's like 3 different class systems. There's like the first class, second class and third class. She's part of the second class, but then she does something stupid and basically her parents are seen as criminals. I think it addresses a lot of like the class system in the UK, because this book is set in the UK. I think this book could have been a lot better than what it actually was. Like the concept is so strong here that's what got me excited. I mean, it's got literary translations that reminded me a bit of Babel, but where Babel exceeds, this book falls flat, which is why I gave it 3 stars. Like I really loved the concept of the world. Like I really wish we could have just had more of the world building. I think this would have been much better as a fantasy. This is marketed as enemies to lovers. They're never enemies. I don't understand that enemies to lovers marketing. It just doesn't make sense to me. The romance just came out of nowhere, but I really liked the way the dragons work and how she's the only one that can speak to the dragons because of the languages. I loved that. But yeah, the core concept was strong. The execution. So then the next book that I read was A Portrait of Keys by Ivan Vladislavovich. I probably really butchered that. I gave this 2 stars because this is a South African author. This is a book I had to study for my uni course. It was a snapshot of the city, and all I can remember is there was a bit about cars being stolen. That's the only thing that I remember, and I think it's because it was so different, because most of it is like in first person, and then this bit was in about a newspaper article, so it was very jarring. But yeah, this book was really hard to get into because it's not the type of thing that I would really read. And the next book I read was Molly Moon's incredible book of hypnotism, which I gave 3 stars. I've been looking at this book on my shelf for absolutely ages, and I really wanted to read it again. And yeah, it's not the same as what I read as a kid. I still love the concept. Like this girl basically lives in this orphanage, and she finds out, she has an argument with her best friend. She goes to the library and finds this book that she reads this book which finds out that she has the power to hypnotize. So she's not special, and then all of a sudden she finds that she can do this thing that nobody else can, and she goes to New York and goes on to Broadway using her talents, let's say. And yeah, I actually still enjoy the story. I think it's a fun kids book. It's definitely a fun kids book. Some of the writing's a little bit bleh, and some of it's a bit unbelievable, but this book did come out in 2000 but yeah, this was one of my childhood books, and the book's a bit dated now. Like, it refers to people, like, there's no mention of phones or anything. There's a mention of Walkmans. It's like, I was reading this at like 8 years old and I don't remember. But yeah, I still really enjoyed it. I think it's a fun book. I've got the second book to read, because I absolutely love the second book. I adored the second book because it's really dark for a kid's book. But yeah, I enjoyed it. And then we have 2 more books on the list that I read in February, and that is The Long Drive by C.N. Jones, which I gave 3 stars. I wasn't a massive fan of this book, but it was better than all of the other books that I had to read on my uni course. This is basically a snapshot of life on a farm and just different characters. It was a bit confusing because there was a lot of characters at one point, and I confused 2 of them together. It's like this mundane kind of writing, like this life is very mundane, so it's like the stylistic choice. So we were looking at how it portrays like the stylistic way. It was an alright book to study, just not something I would read. And then the last book that I read was Another Brooklyn by Jacqueline Woodson, which I gave 3 stars. Now, this sounded amazing. It's about this woman's experience, like this. It's about a woman growing up in Brooklyn. Like I wasn't there almost, like we weren't there with the characters. There was this kind of disclosure, but I think that might be the way the character was. I just thought I'd have more than what I got, basically. I thought it would be really interesting, but I just found it a bit hard to, I just couldn't get into it, I think. It just didn't gel with me. Like, the writing style just didn't gel with me. It was really hard to read. The premise sounds amazing, but the execution, again, like, that's just a few. I would say I had a better reading month than I did last. I haven't read as many in Feb just because of my uni assignments and essays, and I've still got this other essay to do, so it is a little bit of a late February wrap up, but I'm hoping to get back to making more videos once this assignment is in, because then my next 2 assignments aren't due until June, so it's a lot better. But yeah, that is it. Really hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Comment down below if you're reading any manga, if you've read any of these books. I'd like to know. I will see you next time. Bye.